All right, welcome to another week with the Gen X guys. You got JD in line again for
Hey,
you heading into Christmas. Here we
yeah,
are. Christmas is what, 2 days from now? Yeah, 2 days from now.
2 days. Good
Yeah,
math, though. That's really
yeah,
great. You got to think about it a little bit too much.
not really. I
Uh,
mean, okay,
okay, okay.
I looked up briefly, and fuck you, dude. I'm old.
What did you
Okay,
look up to? Is there a calendar in
I'm
front of you?
looking up to the sky.
Because you want divine inspiration and know when Christmas is?
I was looking for fucking Santa Claus. Okay, that's what I'm
Did you
looking
find
for.
him? Did you find him?
No, he's not here.
You got to look in
Ruth's
your heart.
here.
That's why.
I don't know
It's
how
like
you
it's
see
like
him.
it's like a Christmas, like a Hallmark movie. You got to look inside your heart, not up at the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Speaking of Christmas movies, I actually just watched or just finished watching over 2 days because I didn't watch it right away. Christmas Vacation.
nice.
Yeah, that's always a fun one.
That's
I always enjoy
awesome.
that one. Um, yeah, there's
I
always a
watched,
few.
I watched Scrooge like 3 or 4 days ago.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm surprised you haven't watched Grinch yet.
not yet.
Kind of falls in line with who you are. You
Thank
fucking
you.
miser,
I kind of am. Yeah.
dude. You
No,
remember the old
actually,
misers?
what's your go-to Christmas movie? Maybe we can start with that.
Oh well, okay. It's a Wonderful Life.
100%.
Yeah,
You know that one with me.
yeah.
It's just
That's probably us, right? Because I don't know if most people nowadays look at It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, my kids might because obviously I watch it all the time, but
yeah, didn't have a choice.
actually we decided to make a few years back one movie a Christmas movie, even though in no way in hell is it at all. But we watched it on. We decided we were going to put it on Christmas, and we decided to make it like a
Oh, okay.
Christmas
Oh, it's
tradition.
just a tradition more than
Yeah,
Christmas movie.
the
Got it.
West Side Story.
All right, interesting.
Not even close. Not
Not
even
even close. No, I was wondering if there was a slight connection, but no, it's just kind of a random movie that you just watch.
Well, yeah, we wanted to watch it one night that night for some reason. Watched it, and then we said, this is the perfect Christmas movie. There you go. But yeah, I always watch It's a Wonderful Life. I watch Elf. Love Elf. That's a
There's
good one.
another one.
Yeah.
Definitely another one.
I always watch. Interestingly enough, was the one from Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jingle Bells, or Jingle All the Way. Jingle All the Way.
Jingle All the Way. Yeah.
Bells. Yeah.
You know, like, and I know that you've seen my brother on Facebook with it with Christmas Story. I don't really watch it that often though.
Not a Christmas Story. It's on,
but,
and I have nothing else to watch.
Yeah.
Like,
but
there's
being
just
from
certain
Cleveland,
parts.
my brother loves that movie. I mean, you know how he is.
Dude, your brother's such a fucking homer. Like
He
anything
really is.
from Cleveland, he thinks
Anything is the greatest thing ever. Yet he won't move back there.
right. When was the last time he lived in Cleveland?
Well, actually, he did move back there. I want to say for like 3 months in the early '80s or '90s.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I remember that vaguely. I don't, but I do remember he lived out there for a little bit. But like his wife could never handle the winters. Like there's no way. I one of my early childhood memories,
like the winters you want to handle. Like those are the fucked up winters.
Those are the fucked up because I remember like, and it's one of those childhood memories that like I don't remember if it's real half the time because it was like when I was like 4 or 5. But we were in Cleveland in the winter, and I remember getting like there's a whole thing where the lake freezes by the shoreline.
Okay.
And like I was watching like this wind swirl go on it, and it came on shore and hit me like right in the face. Like my aunt was like, "Honey, you got to look away from those," type thing. And I'm like, "Fucking living in California now. How in the hell would I know?" But yeah,
so you gotta stop being stupid. Yeah, stop being stupid.
Pretty much. Like like it's a common sense thing. Like you should just be born with the idea of knowing that. Well, I guess getting hit in the face with ice is a bad thing, but
I mean, maybe you're part dog. Dogs love to stick their heads out windows when you're doing like 60, 70 miles an hour.
That's true. That's a very big possibility.
I think we're figuring something out here today. Yeah. We're really drawing lines together. So anyway,
Thank you.
Being Christmas, we figured this show would focus on Christmas and, talk about just Christmas from the past, any traditions, whatnot that we may have had or carried over with us over time. And like we said, things that you kind of think about during Christmas time itself. Like the movies, for instance. I would say, obviously White Christmas is one of those I enjoy watching on occasion as well. But yeah, for me, Christmas, so Christmas is my birthday, as we all know.
You do? Everybody knows that.
We all know. Of the group probably listening, yes.
Yeah, between you and I,
welcome.
The people talking in the studio and know that it's your birthday on Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, no, I think we talked about that last.
Yeah, you brought it up in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Like, I'm wrong. For once.
Anyway, so but yeah, so the Christmas season as it's coming up here, or as Christmas is here in 2 days, and I didn't need to think about it this time. Yeah. So like from your own, let's think childhood. Like, what are some like fond memories you have? Maybe you haven't, or just memories you have in general that kind of you can always go back to remember what happened around Christmas. Maybe even traditions.
The one that the thing I remember most was catalogs. So Gen Xers will remember this. We didn't have Amazon, obviously, so you can like build some Amazon.
Well, there was no internet back then either.
Right. But we used to get those catalogs from Sears, Montgomery Ward, Best, and I'm forgetting this other one that was
Service
like
merchandise.
Service merchandise. I was thinking customer. Yeah. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. Yeah. But yeah, service merchandise. Those catalogs, that was just joy when you saw those come in the mail, right? Because that was like what we used to build our wish list. Like you would write down like, if I could have been this organized in school, I would have been an A student, right? Because like you would write down like what catalog it was, and then indent a little bit, and then write down the name of the item, put what page it was on, and then put the item number. And like you'd have this list that was like 3 pages long because you just kept on writing things down. Right. And it was like never ending thing. And I remember, we didn't have Post-its, so you couldn't put little tabs on. You had to turn the pages. And like my mom would see the catalog with just all these, dog-eared pages going down. But for me, that was what I remember most of Christmas growing up. I mean, in terms of a positive memory, unfortunately, that's probably about it for me. Like, my mom passed away on December 12th.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I was 14 at the time. So, at that time, setting up all the Christmas stuff after she passed away, it wasn't the same.
Right.
Putting up like my mom used to do pottery stuff. And it's like one of my favorite things of growing up that I remember was she had this ceramic tree that was about 1 foot tall. And it was hollow on the inside and had these little holes around it that you used to put these little like glass light bulb or Christmas lights looking things. You put them in there, and then there was a light bulb that you actually would put in and it turned on and it would light up. So little things like that. But after Christmas though, after that, it kind of really lost meaning. It was actually kind of more of a unfortunate negative reminder. And it wasn't until like my nephews got older, right? That you start kind of remembering what Christmas is supposed to be about. Like, and then of course when your daughter was born. But it wasn't until then that it actually started like becoming a positive thing again.
Yeah.
Like one of my best memories of my nephews, not really childhood because I think I was like 20, 21 at this time, but I used to take them out to Toys R Us after Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever they got for Christmas, I would take them out. Like one year I let them spend like $100 each. And this was like 94, 95. So, and they were huge in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time.
Dude, my cousin, same way.
Yeah.
Youngest cousin.
And they filled up the shopping cart, and I remember bringing them home with just all this stuff. And my brother was like, "What the fuck?" Because I think I might have spent more money on them than they did that year. But it became like a reminder. And then of course, like I said, it was your daughter. Then when my sons were born, and and so on. But childhood was a little bit different, unfortunately.
Wow.
There you go.
A live recording is that dogs go off while you're recording, and then you got people in the background making noise.
Of course. But hey, it just shows that we're real people, right? There you go. Mute it. It's great. I got to talk.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to be thoughtful and not lose what we can hear. I don't know how well you hear the background noise.
I heard the dogs 100%.
Well, yeah, that you can't miss because even that was too loud for me.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. I totally get what you're saying too from that standpoint. Like even for me, when my mom passed away, she'd passed away midsummer, but again, she was loved Christmas as much as I did.
Yep.
And with the kids, obviously I put, still continued for her, but a lot of the drive behind it was missing. And then when my dad passed away a few years later, a little harder for me to like I just don't feel. And of course, maybe that's because a lot of traditions I had growing up were really focused around my grandmother, big family.
Yeah.
You know, we'd always go to the house. Um, for me, when I was young, you know, and we'd start off in the morning at the house. Actually, take it a step back. On Christmas Eve, we'd go to my one set of grandparents' house, spend Christmas Eve with them for nighttime. Christmas morning at the house, then we'd head to my grandmother's and we'd spend the whole day there. And that would include things like playing football on the middle of the street in San Francisco. 'Cause she
That was
lives
an
in
awesome house, by the way.
yeah, she lives in the Sunset District. So for her, you know, we had the city streets. We would just go and play football out there with my uncle, my cousins, anybody who wanted to play. Um, and then we'd have a big dinner that night. And so, it was, you know, you kind of grow up under that atmosphere for so
Right.
long. And then, I
You take
mean,
it for granted, probably.
you do, you really do, because as you get older, life changes, people pass away. I mean, that's the reality. But you're not thinking about it at that time. Obviously,
Yeah.
even as you get older, when I'm in my 20s and 30s, I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's like, you know,
It's weird though. I mean, because I think there's that transition that we go through, especially like I think this is like the third transition for me when it comes to like if you just look at Christmas, right? Like with my childhood, like I was kind of the opposite. We didn't really have it. I didn't have any extended family. It was like our Christmas morning was, my mom, my three brothers, and my
mm,
grandmother, and that was it. And like we woke up, opened up the presents, and then you just played with them all day. That's all we did
yeah,
on Christmas. Maybe go to mass, but it was really just at home.
that's a good point. We should talk about that at some point during this call, during the show. Is mass like for Christmas? I only went Christmas Eve masses. Never did the
Never did
midnight.
Christmas Eve. We
Never
did.
did the midnight.
I stand corrected. I think we did Christmas Eve once or twice, the
Mm,
midnight mass. But it wasn't until I was older, and then my mom passed away. So I don't know if we would have done it more when I got older. But
mm,
um, yeah, like I didn't have that experience,
yeah,
and it just wasn't something that I knew about. Like sometimes on Christmas Eve, we would go over to a family friend's house, but it wasn't family. And then like even for me, like we would go up to my dad's house like for 4 or 5 days, and he lived like 3 hours away. He lived past Sacramento and going up to Tahoe, Placerville. I mean, you kind of
oh yeah,
do it
yep.
about the foot of the before you go up and start really going up the hill. And like, you know, it was only if my mom or my brother drove us. He would never come pick us up. So, and then even when I was up there, kind of highlighted that he was an absentee father, never interacted with him, and also like getting like one present from him that was just some random thing because he didn't really know me. So like he would just get a present. I was like, okay, but like see my stepsisters get like a full gambit. So I think like I said, after my mom died, yeah, there's like that.
Wait a minute, hold on, dude. You have stepsisters?
Huh? You never knew that? Well, I never talk about my dad's family.
No, I know, but you've never talked about it? You've
Yeah,
never brought that shit up, dude. Like
stepsisters,
maybe you did decades ago and I don't remember. There's a good chance
probably,
that.
or I probably never did because I never like
Holy shit. How
yeah,
many?
two.
See, that's just interesting because you're all boys. So to hear that you have
Oh
stepsisters,
no, they weren't his kids.
oh, so they're not. Oh, yeah, I'm thinking half sister. Oh,
Yeah,
okay, all right, go on. Sorry,
no,
not to downplay stepsisters. I'm just saying.
no,
Okay.
no. I know what you mean.
I was thinking like, holy shit, there was actually a lineage of women born. That makes sense. Okay,
Yeah, but
so you got remarried. That's fine.
yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense. Why I've never heard about it. Yeah,
and I never really acknowledged. I mean, they were never like fucked up to me or anything, but
yeah.
it was so casual. But yeah, so it's just funny because like I think there was that transition, where I had a negative connotation. Like I said, throughout high school, I thought about it. Just kind of reminded me that I didn't have parents, so it
Mhm.
had this negative one. But then there was that transition. Like the next stage was, of course, with kids. Like I said, it started with my nephews and then your daughter, but then I had my three sons. You had your two sons. My sister-in-law had my two nieces, nephew, and then even like with your sister-in-law, her what 8 kids? How many kids does she have? 5?
Yeah, only 5, dude.
5, okay.
But she's a grandmother. So
And now she's a grandmother.
Yeah, she's got a great grandkid. Oh, not great grandkids. Jesus, she's not that fucking old. Um, thank you. My Starbucks came.
There you go.
Thank you.
Right. What'd you get?
I just got a cafe mocha.
Okay.
Basically hot chocolate with some coffee in it.
Basic bitch. You didn't go for the pumpkin latte, pumpkin spice.
No,
No,
I'm not a
you're
fan
not
of
a
that.
white girl.
Never. I don't like pumpkin. I know that's hard for people to understand, but
And
I'm
corned beef. We will get into that during St. Patty's Day. We talk
okay.
about Irish food
Sure,
you want.
sure. But anyway, yeah.
But
No,
then,
I
I
I
mean,
get your point. Yeah.
but then, like especially like when we would do our get-togethers at your house, and like your absolute saint of a mother who I absolutely just love. That's no endorsement. Yeah, he got paid for that. But just being at like how many times did we have those get-togethers at your house? We had like 15 kids running around. No joking.
Yeah.
There's like 15 kids running around, and like there would be just other people that would come in. It was your two sisters, and then like random whatever around there, like or your grandmother coming over. It was just that really was when Christmas changed for me. But that was like the second phase, growing up. But what is your like with your kids? What is your like that transition of like just your nuclear family? Your five. What is your like your favorite Christmas tradition?
I mean, really, the biggest one is probably the at night when we have the cake. We have a Christmas tree cake. So it's a yearly tradition where we always have the a cake made into a Christmas tree. I've had that probably since I can remember.
Yeah,
So predates any. It was my mom put it together.
right.
Um,
And you carried it on.
but yeah,
Yeah,
for us, as far as I mean, on Christmas Day, tradition wise, we just like to, it's different because some of my kids, were either like working or somewhere else, and so as they've gotten older,
yeah.
when we were younger, the tradition was always have the families come over. We'd go visit the families. Like I'd go to my
Yeah.
sister-in-laws and visit their
You were
family.
always driving around at Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And
go to
so
like 4 or 5 houses.
yeah, pretty much. So our tradition was pretty much just heading around, spending all the time with the family, and
Yeah.
that's why it's always been such a hard transition. Not a hard transition, but it's been
Moving to Vegas
moving to Vegas changed that. But again, I mean, yes, I didn't have
before that.
necessarily the two houses the one house to run to because when both my parents were gone and my grandmother gone, pretty much my Christmas came down to our house
Yeah.
and then visit my sister-in-law and then come home. And that was it. And then my sisters would come over with my nephew, who also is on Christmas,
No, that's right.
and
Yeah.
niece as well. But but they also had their own families to go through.
Yeah.
So, the scale and
Changes.
yeah, and it's also a way for me to always catch up with my cousins in the past, and
Right.
you lose those connections over time because things change, events go away, and suddenly things change. But yeah, I think there's not a tradition per se like we always go to watch a specific movie or on Christmas
I
Day.
figured that with you guys. I think maybe I'm making it more specific to Christmas, but you guys were always like watching those movies together, like and doing the lines and that type of thing. It was always like
Oh,
a thing
yeah.
that I was identifying
Yeah.
with your family.
Yeah, well, and because everybody's schedules are so different now
Yeah,
with work, and my daughter works
and that's the
nights, and
next transition. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's like that next transition. It's like now, what the fuck do we do?
yeah, so now it's just like one year I'd love to be on a cruise on Christmas Day. I mean, one year we went to Disneyland
Right.
for Christmas Day. Yeah, I'd love to be in Hawaii for Christmas Day.
We did that one year. We did
Yeah,
that like
a few years
right.
back.
I think it was 18, 17 or 18.
Yeah,
2017 or 18.
yeah. So we did Christmas in Disneyland. It was fantastic. It was something kind of wanted to knock off. I mean, we'd always gone during other seasons, Thanksgiving
Right.
and whatnot.
We went during the holiday season because that's like a memory like of especially for our families that we would do is we'd always go to Disneyland during the holidays.
Right.
Taking like that picture in front of the big Christmas tree at the entrance.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
That there's some good memories of us fucking around
Yeah.
out there too with the kids who were smaller. But
Well, that's another story. Just we can almost do a whole episode just on our trips to Disneyland. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But yeah, but no, to your point, yeah. I mean, it changes over time. Like it's now from where prior to having kids, what it was, big family jubilee, event and everything, massive scale, and continued for, I guess, 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
15, I think, was when my mom was how old my daughter was. My mom passed away. And then about 7 years, well, 2 years later, my grandmother passed away, which basically that ended the big family gathering. Because then it was just more like my dad and us, and we did the thing at the house,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and did the travel as well. But outside of that, that was pretty much it.
Your extended
Um,
family thing, yeah.
yeah, the extended family just kind of went away. I
And
mean,
that's the thing I noticed that just by coming to your house for, like, birthday parties and things like that, where after your mom passed away, and especially, like you said, after your grandmother, like, your aunt was always there, like, without fail,
yeah, she'll always come to the big events that we
always.
invite her to. Always.
Um, but you just saw less and less over time in terms of, and I mean, I think it's just one of those things, is like you have to have that, that cog, that
Yeah, you
center.
have the linchpin, the someone that
Yeah,
the matriarch, basically in this
yeah,
case, was
and that
my
was
grandmother.
100% your mom. I mean, your mom, it is still in my mind like that epitome of what a mother is. It's just she epitomized that for me, just because, like when any kid was at your house, that was her grandchild. You
Oh
know,
yeah, treat everybody the
100%.
same.
Like it was just like whenever a kid would come up to her, she gave that kid 100% of her attention. Like didn't matter who she was talking to, she would. And your mom would, she wasn't a small woman. She was fairly tall.
Yeah,
Um,
she was about 5'10".
yeah. But whenever she did, even when she was having her health problems, she would always, like, what I always remember your mom is like, she would always go down to the kids level.
Mhm.
She'd always like bend over, eye contact, and acknowledge them. That was just always, and that's how it was at your house,
Yeah.
especially with her. So it's just one of those things that, but yeah, you saw that kind of just change. I mean, and it makes sense. It sucks, but
Yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is. It's life. I
it is
mean,
what it is.
people, you don't. Again, to your point early on, we take it for granted. Like,
We do.
and you live in the moment, which is good. You should live in the moment. You shouldn't figure out what's going to happen in the future or dwell too much on the past. Ideally, especially when it's bad moments per se,
Right.
which is harder to do than said sometimes. But
Easier said than done. Yeah.
yeah, but you're living in the moment and you think this is great. I'm just going to be fun. I mean, I have many different remembrance of like types of toys I kind of got that were fun, like the $6 million man. I got probably when I was like
Yeah.
5 or 6.
Well, with the eye hole that you had to
The
look
eye hole
through
you look through.
around.
Then I
Yep,
got
yep, that was
then I
awesome.
got the Sasquatch or Bigfoot to fight him against, who had the
Yeah,
chest opening where you could kind of smash through. So there's that one.
yeah.
But yeah, I
I was
mean,
you remember the Evel Knievel one that you had to wind up?
yes, I had
Yeah,
that. Yeah,
that thing
yeah,
was
yeah. You
awesome.
take off and fly.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah, yeah,
the interesting one, but to your point, like it's a challenge. Like it's not a challenge. It's just a fact of life. Life changes over time, and I think when you first lose that first person, to your point, like your mom, you start to realize, and I think it's true for both of us. We lost our moms. My mom was wrong, definitely longer.
yeah,
Um, but the impact is like there's a certain person who you're tied to, and when they're gone, it changes it.
yeah,
And you start to realize, and you realize it's probably much earlier than a lot of people would at our age at that time, was that shit's changing. Like when you lost your mom, that changed everything. It changed your
everything.
perspective on Christmas, especially because of the time of year she passed away.
Yeah,
Also, just not having her there just
yeah,
changes it, and that's the impact.
and that's
Um,
like, and then like you do remember those Christmases, and but again, your perspective changes about how what it meant. Like my mom, I was raised by a single mom. Money was always tight, and she used to have to work a second job during Christmas, and it was always at Montgomery Ward. And I don't, she would get the money there, probably employee discount. But it's just one of those things where, as a kid, you're like, it was nighttime, and you're wondering where mom's at, and she's like, oh, she's working, and you don't really. It's just one of those things where, and then you become a parent, right? And you think about how many things you do as a parent that your kids never recognized.
right.
Like how many times did you guys stay up until 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with, the president's thing, or just what we would go through in the background, like, even like Disneyland, right? During that
Mhm.
time period, like pushing around a double stroller was a bitch at Disneyland, especially during those busy times of the year. And then, at night, even though it's LA, at night it will get kind of cold. And then, you have all the blankets, you have all these other things because you want to watch the fireworks and they're falling asleep. It's like, as a parent, you do so many things that your kids never know. And then when you start becoming an adult, you kind of look back at it and you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, you realize, like I said, my mom worked a second job.
Yeah.
Make sure we had that, and we only got another big difference was like we only got presents on our birthday and Christmas. That was it. That was the only time of the year that we ever got anything.
Yeah.
And
Which
again, it
is the
was money
same for
was
me
tight,
as well. Yeah.
but it was
Same
just
for
a
me.
philosophy. It was a philosophy that this is, it sucked for you because I'm born in June, so I would get Christmas 6 months
That's true. I
later.
got everything at one time. I'd still get individuals. So that's another thing, right?
You
It's
did,
like,
yeah,
yeah,
but still,
they were
but I would
celebrated
get it spread
separately.
out through the
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. I had no mid break. Like I didn't have
Yeah.
a halfway there type scenario. Yeah.
But kind of knowing our financial situation growing up, because like my dad also never gave child support, but it was just one of those things that you don't really think about. But then we always had a lot of presents. And I mean, even looking back at it now, it wasn't like this visual of, 3 or 4 presents. I mean, my mom would get us like 8 to 10 good things. So it was always a good Christmas in that respect. As a kid,
Yeah.
you tie Christmas with presents. I'm getting loot. To talking about like Calvin and Hobbes, he would always say loot. But you kind of tie it to that. But then as you get older, your perspective changes.
Right.
Like mine did after my mom passed away, because then it became like it wasn't that I was negative towards Christmas, it just was a hard time of the year.
Yep.
But it changes when you start, even when I was just an uncle, like I said, even with my nephews and with your daughter, it started to change that perspective.
Yeah.
To what?
No, I agree. Yep. And but like you said, I mean, it's a change as you grow, and when you become adults and you start having kids, you start to realize the little things you never really. It's not that you, at least not for everyone. I can't say this for everyone. I can say this at least from my perspective, and of course the people I know. It's not that we were taking it for granted. It's your point in your life. You're just not thinking of those things, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you? Your concern is I get up in the morning, sweet. I'm out of school. It's winter break. I don't have to worry about school anymore.
Yeah.
I can go watch all my morning cartoons, shows, whatever I need to do.
And then after Christmas, all the shit that you wanted to play with.
Exactly, and that's all you play with.
G.I.
And then
Joe.
you get pissed because you have to go back to school. Because it's a week later.
Right after New Year's. Remember, it was like 2 days
like,
after New Year's. So like, it was because our Christmas break was 2 weeks.
Yeah, it started like the week before,
And
or
then,
like
right after
22nd, 23rd, something like that. Yeah, it's kind of similar to what some of them are doing definitely out here. Similar time frame.
Yeah, especially like the ones that transition to like the year round.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so let me ask you this. I mean, so we talked about that, but going back to where and I don't know what's equivalent today in comparison, but we talked about like movies, but what are some like TV shows during the holidays you remember watching? Like to me, the claymations, right? So you got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, that's what you mean. Okay, yeah. Oh, 100% the claymation. Rudolph, obviously, like, and then what was the one with the Mr. Frost, or what was it?
Santa Claus comes to town. Santa Claus comes to town. That was Mr. Frost. Yeah.
That was Mr. Frost.
Yeah, and then Frosty. Don't forget Frosty.
Frosty.
Yep. And then the Miser Brothers. The Miser Brothers.
Yes.
Fire and Ice.
Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Heat Miser. I think I'm kind of combining two of them together.
Yeah. Maybe I may have just combined it together too, to be honest with you. But
yeah, we probably did. But you know what? Also, the thing that definitely with Gen X was you looked to see when that was on air.
Right.
Like you 100% looked to see when it was on air because
you had like 12 channels.
Right.
At that time.
But there was no recording, no repeats. It was if you missed it, you fucking missed it. And that was like the worst feeling. Like, because for me, I think it went Rudolph and Frosty in terms of like those were the two I had to watch.
Yeah, I loved watching Rudolph.
And I remember
actually, I should watch Rudolph soon. I now that we're talking about it, I'm gonna have to go put them on.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch it right after this.
Yeah, but yeah,
you missed it, and I missed it. I remember missing Rudolph one year, and I was just fucking like
devastated. Your life is over at that point in your time. It was. Yeah, I agree. But like, there's nothing equivalent to that today. Like that sense of feeling, and again, it comes back to the time period. Like back in the 70s and 80s, I mean, what we had was limited channels, rabbit ears. You picked up anything that was broadcast over the air. We had limited time. You had your TV guide, or you had the TV guide insert from papers.
For us, it was I think we used to get the Chronicle, not the Examiner.
Yeah, I think it was the Sunday paper though that came
Sunday
in
paper,
for the week.
the pink
And you're
section,
right,
the
you,
pink
you could,
section.
yeah, exactly. So they'd have all this stuff planned
Yeah.
out in these, and you can look ahead and go, oh, there it is. I got to make sure I, watch for it.
Yeah, and again, you didn't have an alarm or anything. You had to remember.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
We didn't have like our phones where we would put an alarm on a reminder. It was, it's you either remembered it or again, like the worst one was like I remember like, and I don't know why I used to watch MASH at my age, but I remember falling asleep during the finale, and like
Dude.
I was so pissed for like.
Okay, we're focused on Christmas. That wasn't Christmas time.
Yeah,
I will add to this that one real quick. The power went out during that time when it was going to launch or when they were going to air it. We had other TV and rabbit ears on, and we were able to get some power generated and watched it at that point. So we still caught it, but you had to work hard to get that one to show. Anyway, that's what I remember.
Right. So it was just a bad memory popped up, and we're talking about missing shows. But yeah, but during that time, it was like you were looking, like you were waiting for things to come on.
Yeah,
like It's a Wonderful Life was another one. When you talk about
exactly
movies.
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life. I feel like, and I may have these seasons wrong. It probably was Easter time period. Like Wizard of Oz was always put on once a year on like ABC or NBC or one of those.
Yeah, when was that?
I thought it was during Christmas, but maybe it is Easter. I may get my seasons wrong here, my holidays wrong.
Well, there's also Miracle.
Well, Miracle on 34th Street is definitely a Christmas time period. Yeah.
And the cool thing is the remake they did a few years ago was really well done. It was basically like the same story with
that remake was like 25 years ago.
No, it was recent. It was like yesterday. It was like last year.
25 years ago, dude.
Was it really?
Yeah. 25 years ago. The little girl from Mrs. Doubtfire and the movie Matilda, right? That's the one you're thinking of? Yeah, 25. Anyway, it's fine. But you're right. That's actually another one that my wife and I love to watch as well. Is that, and of course,
I watched both. I've actually watched the first one and then put on the one from like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, you keep doing that. So apparently he's stuck back in 90s.
But remember, 20 years ago is 1970 or you ever see that like when people say that like when they go, well, 20 years ago was like that the 90s was 30 years ago.
Yeah, no, I know it's hard to do math.
It's hard to think about like the fact that we graduated high school 30 years ago.
Yeah,
33 years ago.
Yep. Yeah,
that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, 33. You're right. Jesus.
I know. It's just perspective. Yeah. By the way, if you tell people with math, we graduated high school in 1990.
There you go. Quick math for you. Yeah. So let me ask you this. All right. So we know there were the shows that we always look forward to. Mm-hmm. What Christmas music always reminds you of your youth?
Elvis.
Really interesting. Elvis was the one you listened to all the time.
My mom was.
Okay, she's a big Elvis fan.
My mom was a huge Elvis fan. So yeah, there was all the blue, like to me, like just thinking about it now. A Christmas song is the classic for me. Chestnuts roasted over an open fire, blah blah blah. But childhood, it was like Blue Christmas, like all of that. Like my mom would 100% play the Elvis Christmas album on Christmas.
Mine was Bing Crosby.
Yeah,
because my grandmother always played Bing Crosby on Christmas, so that's how I kind of associate it. And sometimes if I remember, and I don't all the time, I like to put, while we're opening gifts, put Christmas music in the background because that's kind of what my grandmother did. But I don't remember that much. I don't know if I've done that in a few years. Maybe I'll do it this year. Now that I'm talking about it.
My wife will do she'll play a lot of like the Bing Crosby and all the classic ones, especially because since my in-laws will live with us, I think she does it for her childhood because that's what she grew up listening to. A lot of that classic, like you said, like Bing Crosby and so on. But and she'll do that now, especially for them to play. But my wife will definitely play the classic ones.
Yeah, well, she's more cultured than you, but that being that's what I agree. Yeah. But the one here's one for you, and I had always watched this on Christmas Eve in my grandparents' house.
Yeah.
is MTV was out back in the early 80s.
Okay.
And so you had the group of people brought together, singers and whatnot, called Band Aid. And they go, "Do you know it's
Holy
Christmas
crap.
time?"
That's right. Yeah.
I still like that song. I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, that's when
It's
the
like doing that,
U.S.
"Now this is
artists
Christmas,"
decide to
right?
make their own. But what's
Yeah.
that?
Like, "Now this is Christmas," and
Yeah.
that one. Yeah. That's
Yeah,
right.
you had
I'm not going to
groups.
sing it, by the way. I'm just
No,
going to
it's
mouth the
fine.
words.
You can look it up. Do
Yeah.
you know it's Christmas
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
But they had the music video, and so I'd watch that.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, that one always, like, I look for that one every Christmas as well. Because it always brings me back again to those memories. Like, I always have Christmas songs with the kids and whatnot, what we listen to. Like Elf is definitely one that kind of ties us all together because it's
It's
a
more your
period of
family.
time where we're all yeah, it definitely is. And to your point, we love to quote movies from that.
Yeah.
Which is funny because one of the songs in there is "It's Getting Cold Outside," which
Yeah.
obviously that a couple years back brought a lot of people realizing, like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. But
But
regardless,
then they realize that, oh, it's not actually what we thought it was, because
it's not. But it's funny to kind of, like anything, you can poke holes and stuff and have fun with it, even whether or not it's right. But yeah, to me, the Christmas music, the traditional Christmas music is always good.
So not a Mariah fan?
Dude, I can hear her once, it's fine, but it is overkill. Like,
It's
it is
overkill. That's the problem.
legitimately overkill.
And I don't know why. I mean, it's like you said, it's a great song. Don't get me wrong. I put it up there, but
She has a whole album they go through now.
But why is that song the only one that you hear? That's the problem I have. There's so many incredible holiday songs, not just Christmas songs.
But you have to do that. Yeah, but for traditional media, or radio today,
they beat it to fucking death.
They do, because they only play like the top 30 Christmas songs that they could think of, and they rotate them through. So you get to hear her. If you're driving somewhere for 8 hours, you're probably going to hear it at least 2 or 3 times easily.
Yeah. Thank God for like Spotify and everything else.
That's what I was going to say. If at least with like Sirius XM or whatnot and those, right, Spotify, like Sirius XM has different classic channels where it's just the more classical stuff. So
right.
See, that's why you need coffee, pal.
I know.
Coffee will wake you up.
I need a second cup.
You need a second cup? Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. We were doing some stuff last night, so we were up a little late. But what about like New Year's? I mean, kind of like, because when I think of Christmas, I think I automatically think of this week, not so much as Christmas. It's like there's of course a lead up to Christmas, like like the one holiday thing that I didn't bring up that I want to talk about is we used to go get our tree from a Christmas tree farm.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yep.
So like we would go to the other Northern California, which is more like where your cousins grew up, Petaluma area, like Santa Rosa,
Runner Park,
Petaluma,
all that good stuff. Yeah.
Runner Park, Sebastopol. It was more around Sebastopol, but they had a bunch of tree farms. And so like we used to go there every year. I would do a few cuts to get the blade going. One of the boys would go over, saw it like 2 times, and they were done. Take the picture, then the next one come, do like
they
one.
Just hold the saw. There we go. Get the quick picture, guys. Yeah.
They would try, but of course, they would buckle the saw and they would, do it. But they would try. But of course, in reality, they did like absolutely nothing to the tree when they were growing up. But then,
tie a rope around them and make them pull it.
Yeah, well, they had the carts, but I used to try to make them pull the cart. But it was, it wasn't, the trails were.
Well, I mean, how tall were the trees you were getting normally? Like 6, 7 feet?
Oh, at least, yeah. But the worst thing that I think it went down because we used to love that. Like, and also our first family dog, Belle, was a beagle.
Yeah, she was a beautiful little dog too.
She was a pain in the ass, but she was beautiful. Seriously, painted. She was a pain in the stop.
Don't take her head. Stop it. Beagles are beautiful dogs.
No, they're not.
Dude, it's your own fault. You left a whole fucking piece up on a table and let her get to it.
Fucking ate it. God damn that little.
It's your fault.
Thing.
Your fault. She was
no. Okay, but similar to. And I'll go to the next one. That it's related to Christmas, but also birthdays. But it was like she knew when she would get into the truck where we were going at Christmas, because that's like she just. I mean, a beagle in in the woods, right? It was just that was like incredible for her. And but the other one was like when we go over to your house, like as soon as we turned the corner, she couldn't see, but she would start barking.
Yep.
Like as soon as we got on your street. For background, JD had her sister.
Correct.
So,
Lulu.
yeah, Lulu was her like actual sister in the same litter. So, but whenever we get to their house, like as soon as we turn the corner, she would bark, and then we would park, and she would choke herself on the leash trying to get to the backyard. They'd fight for 2 seconds, and then they would just.
Well, it depends. So to your point, like on the houses, like if you came over in the holidays, if you came to our house with Belle, Lulu would have to yell at her consistently to set the ground rules that this is her house. Now you reverse that, and if we went to your house when we did for like Christmas as well, and we do the big gathering, we brought Lulu, Belle would do the exact same thing, and Lulu would just accept it. Like they knew who owned what, and so they just accepted it. But yeah,
they're great dogs, but they're children.
Well, yeah, they are. Dogs are like children.
But like Belle used to get that major separation anxiety. Like she was 100%. You know, like she was a pack dog. You know, she definitely had to be a part of the family.
Well, Lulu was similar because staying with my sister, who also was owner of Lulu as well, shared the dog.
Yeah.
Anytime she'd come over to get her, and she'd be gone for a while, no one else in the family, could be me, could be anyone else. Anytime she'd show up, she'd just start barking at her, like yelling at her, like complaining to her that she left her behind.
That.
Yeah,
like,
all the time.
Why did you leave? Like,
it
almost felt like she was whining.
Yeah, only her every time. I could take her to the vet. She comes out, she's perfectly fine. She takes her to the vet. She comes out, she starts complaining to her.
Yeah,
it's like so. But anyway, the Christmas tree, that's good because I usually I always got real trees. But I'd go, obviously, unlike you, I wouldn't go out and cut one down. I was just used to always going to the local tree lots or whatnot. And then a few years ago, we ended up getting a fake tree for the first time ever. And we've run it for like a couple years. This year, we actually went back to a real tree.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Just, we have the fake, and that's fine. It's a white powdered fake one. So every time I pull it out, I'm basically killing myself, inhaling all the dust that comes with that thing. So I wasn't as eager this year to try and do that again. So I wanted to get a real tree because it's a different smell. You know, you get the real tree smell.
Feel. You know, it's just what it is. But like the other part was like we would go to this apple farm up there, and it had like a barn, and it had like all the apple related Christmas stuff. Like it would have the cider, which was awesome. It would have the caramel dip apples, but they also had this apple bread. That was
apple bread. Nice.
Oh my God. We used to get like 20 loaves and freeze them. But it was just, that was like the best thing. And unfortunately, something happened. Like I remember we went up there one year, and all of a sudden the place was closed.
And
there was
this pre-pandemic?
Pre-pandemic.
Okay.
And it was like one of those most depressing things. Like you get there and you're like, what the fuck? I to the point where like we kind of did the thing on the phones. Like, is this the right place?
Yeah, I guess that's actually a good point. Like, are there any foods from when you were younger, like to your point, like the apple, whatever it was, like, is there anything you tried to continue today, like types of foods and whatnot, like for Christmas? I mean, turkey and stuff like that. But anything from your youth that you've kind of carried over to that you're still doing today?
Nothing I remember, honestly. I mean,
it's all the traditional stuff back in the day for me too, right? Like it was just turkey. Like Christmas dinner was turkey. You'd have mashed potatoes. You'd have all the added stuff. We'd, different things. And then because it was my birthday, but also Christmas, we'd have desserts.
Of course.
The desserts would be my Christmas tree cake. Okay, fantastic. Right. The other would be a bunch of like pumpkin pies, like 2 or 3.
Really?
Which is why I don't like pumpkin anymore, by the way. I had a lot when I was young.
You like the cake, but you don't like the pumpkin pie.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I love pumpkin pie, but I'm very particular about it. Like
my mom used to make those all the time, and then bring them over. Yep.
Yeah.
But that for us today, it's like we don't really do turkey because I mean, like no, I mean, yeah, I don't mind.
Like we don't do turkey and ham. I mean, we don't. Nobody likes it, and I'm not going to spend all the time making it.
Well, so I do the same thing as you. We both make prime rib. That's our primary dinner now.
Yep.
Rice, because it's an Asian household, so there has to be rice. We do have ham because Audrine likes ham, and so we get a small one, honey baked. Nothing big, but it's nice to actually pick on those. I do enjoy a slice here and there, but not a lot.
I'll do it in a sandwich. Like a ham sandwich, I can do like almost like a Cuban type of thing.
Yeah, but we still like to do the sit down dinner at Christmas.
We definitely do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the one thing we've continued to do. I mean, hell, my grandmother, she had like 30, 40 people trying to sit down for dinner every night, spread out over multiple rooms.
I
I
think I went
probably,
over your grandmother's like 2 or 3 times.
yep. Yeah.
You know, especially before I got married. I remember being there, and for me, that was like, what the fuck? I mean, because you had a huge extended family. Like there was like it was a big house in the city. I mean, it's one of those houses that was built in what, like 1900 or like before or after the
Well, it's
fire.
definitely built in the 1900s. That is correct.
Well, you know what I mean. But it was early 19. I meant or like when I meant 1900, I meant actually like
Yeah, probably like
1901.
the 20s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, but it
Maybe,
was,
maybe earlier, to be honest with you. That's a good point. Yeah, I don't remember what year that house was built.
but it's one of those like old school, just three, like it was like 3 stories, right? It was a
It
weird
was,
thing.
yes.
It
Yeah,
had the garage and then it had 3 stories. Yeah,
correct. Yeah.
yeah,
The structure was just, you're right. We had the garage downstairs, which had a room, but it was more a storage room.
storage room. Yeah,
Then the main floor, the second floor, was where everything was at: living room, dining room, kitchen, an extra room, bathroom. And then upstairs was where all the bedrooms were at.
yeah,
You had your, 3 bedrooms, four bedrooms upstairs, actually.
yeah,
Um, so you're right. It was big. And the funny thing is, when you'd come over, like at night, we've already rotated through a bunch of people. Like my great
yeah,
uncles, my great aunts would have come by and left because they also had their own events.
right.
So even when you came in at night and you saw like 30 plus
Different people.
people,
It was a
that,
different 30 plus people than earlier.
yeah. If you
Yeah.
were there earlier, it would have been even more packed, which is why we were always outside playing football, because
I
that
thought
house
usually
was
they
like
were during the
packed.
daytime. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
packed. But you wanted to be outside because it was just no place to go inside.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's one of the big things I miss, is just having that packed event. But yeah, from a food standpoint, a lot of it's continued. Apple cider, getting that apple cider bottle that's always there. That was
Of
always
course.
something that you use for New Year's. You also do it for Christmas. But yeah, we try to continue
Martinelli's
the foods.
sparkling apple cider.
Yeah.
It's
Sparkling. That's what I was thinking
the,
of. Sparkling apple cider. You're right. That's one. That's the one.
the kids champagne.
Exactly.
But that shit, I'll drink that over champagne any day.
So would I. I agree.
So good.
I'm not a champagne guy. I don't like
Nope.
champagne.
Don't like it either. So yeah, I'll drink that. But I'll take the bottle and chug it like I'm an alcoholic with it. It's not alcohol, but you know what I mean.
Okay. Pull it together. I guess.
I mean, I don't remember from my childhood like anything that was like that. I mean, I don't really remember if we had traditional dinner. I kind of assume we did, but I don't really remember it that distinctly. I mean, I remember like Thanksgiving dinners, but I don't remember us actually having like an actual like sit down, like what we did for Christmas dinner. I don't really remember, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, to your point, like I didn't actually I never had Christmas dinner outside of my grandmother's till about 11 years ago.
Yeah, after she passed.
After she passed, that was it. Then it became, now we do our own dinner.
Yeah.
Up till then, it was always at that house. So from my perspective, everything existed up until that point. And then only these last 11 years, and this is why it's always been hard to try and figure out the best. Like, it's no longer a tradition now. You're just kind of doing your own stuff. And it's like, okay.
That's the weird part about it now. I mean, like I said, it's like, I think the one thing that, the younger generations don't understand is the transitions you go through in your life as you get older, and which is what we're talking about. Like, this is like I said, this is like my third iteration of Christmas now, of where we're at with Christmas. Like there was, like I said, my childhood one, and then transitioning to being an uncle and a father. Probably should have said father first, but I started as an uncle, so that's
You're dyslexic. You went backwards in the alphabet. That's fine.
No, yeah, I probably did. But now it's like you said, like I have a son in Hawaii.
Yeah.
There's also like, how do you do gifts now? My
gift cards, brother. There you go.
Better than that, but I know. I hate gift cards. I honestly say that the worst thing that ever, like when gift cards kind of first came in, it was like, okay, good. So if I don't know what to get him, I'll get him this. But then it became a default. So it's like, you're not giving anything though. I really like gift cards became. I think it's an overall negative because you're essentially just giving money. Why not just give money? What is the point of a gift card?
I'm sorry. Go back to your point.
I'm pissed now. You just fucked it all up for me.
All right.
Well,
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for joining.
no. But no, I mean, I think it's the different, like, it's like your daughter. She's working. She's gonna be 31.
She's off this year, though. She's going to be here this year.
Nice. Yeah. But your daughter's gonna be 31. She's a homeowner. It's like, what do you really get her? You're not getting her presents. You're getting her a present. Like, I think it's that what I mean, that transition of a lot of the things that we did with our kids is just different. Like I said, my oldest son is working. He has his own money. He probably has more disposable income than I do at this point. Just because he's living at home with us. Middle one's in Hawaii. And he's working. But then you still have the youngest. My youngest is 20. No, 21. Sorry. Yeah.
Holy shit! Wait, is he 21 now?
He's 21 now.
God. Yeah. All right. Anyway, continue.
Right. But it is that type of thing where it's like, I think when people talk about midlife crisis, I think this is that midlife crisis time period. And to me, I don't think I think you're the same way. I don't think for us, it's I want to recapture my youth, or, I want to start doing the things I didn't do when I was 20. It's like more like, what do we do now? I think we talked about this in a previous podcast, but as we're getting to this time period, it's like, I missed the Christmas time period that we had. I do. And it's with the kids. And maybe when we get grandchildren, it'll change. If we get grandchildren.
If I'm still alive when that happens, yeah.
Right, exactly. Totally agree with that. Or if, having 3 sons is like, do we, we'll see. But, it's just one of those things where it's like, well, what now? It's like, it has left, I think, a hole that, I think, again, the midlife crisis for me is, what are the next steps? It's like, yeah, we can start doing the selfish things, I think, like we're doing, like with vacations or whatever. But, I miss those family things that we had, those things that really gave you purpose. Like traveling is great, and I absolutely love it, but it doesn't give you purpose like, family did.
Right. Well, and I think when you were talking about that just now, what kind of came to my mind was like, if my mom was still alive, then I think what you saw from a family standpoint, she would have carried on in my grandmother's absence. Probably would have still had a lot bigger family together. But,
100%.
But in absence of that, it's like you try to do things, and whether it's with my siblings or whatnot. But at least for me, it's just missing something. To your point, like there is that hole. So, and the good thing is, hang out. I have my kids who are going to be here, which is always nice. With wife and so my family's here, so it's nice. We get to celebrate together. But this, it's just trying to come up with different things. Whether it's play basketball earlier in the day, maybe play a little game or anything I can. Like this year, we'll have the Niners against Baltimore. So being diehard Niner fans, it's fantastic, and it gives us something to watch.
Yeah.
But no. But I agree with you 100%. Like it's at this point in our lives, it's funny you say you've seen a lot, but you've seen a lot and you've been through a lot in your life.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the next chapter? Like, and you're trying to find that. Yeah, you're just trying to find or feel that connection somewhere that you're like, this is what we do every year, right? So that there's something you can kind of hang on to. And every year I'm just kind of playing around with like, I don't know what to do this year. So we'll see.
That's true though. I mean, it's really that feeling right now. Like, like you said, it's just weird going from doing it for somebody else, doing Christmas for somebody else. That's what Christmas is to me. It's family being fulfilled, that thing, watching the kids be happy and all of that type of stuff, which is an amazing feeling. But, and it's not that you totally lose it, but it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It's, and again, like I said, we could do the traveling, like, you could do a cruise on Christmas or like I said, we went to Hawaii, but even that, actually, no, like if I just did something with my wife, right? Or something to that effect. But it's just one of those things. I'm like, it's just not the same to me. It's like, it's kind of like you're doing something and it happens to be on Christmas, right? Like you're experiencing, like we want to experience Christmas in another country. I think that's our next thing. Like I would love to experience Christmas in Korea or somewhere, or even like the other one, honestly, is the Philippines. That would be like, I think that's like 1A and 1B, because I hear all the stories from my in-laws and even other Filipinos about how like Christmas starts in like after Halloween in the Philippines, and it literally does.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, it's like almost all Catholic, right? Or it's just definitely Christian, and they embrace Christmas and they go hardcore. It's like that's why like this time of the year, tickets to the Philippines are twice as expensive as any other time of the year. First of all, the weather's great. I mean, great for the Philippines, but
also any Christmas travels generally going to be expensive because it's just that time of year.
True. Yeah, it's probably relative because like even to go to Hawaii, like the tickets are like $1,000
and to stay there are expensive. I mean, it's just the holiday season. You're right. I'd rather go to
more.
more.
I'm probably looking at it from. I'm not really thinking about it as a broader perspective, but I definitely want to experience that. But again, it's more of an experience rather than like what I see as Christmas supposed to be, which is honestly, Christmas is supposed to be your mom's house, your grandmother's house, and not saying I'm talking. For some reason, you always think of the maternal part when it comes to Christmas.
True.
You never really think of the paternal side. Like, yeah, it was your mom and dad's house, but when I think about it, it was your mom's house.
Well, in all fairness, my dad would have said that too.
Yeah, but I mean
you just needed the garage. That's all I needed.
Right. But that's also how it was. I mean, to me, Christmas is like that maternal type holiday, even though Father Christmas and everything. But when it comes down to it, Christmas is really ran by a mom.
True. So, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly.
That's the way I perceive it.
Yeah. So, as we finish up here, let me ask you one final question or one quick question.
49ers
Okay, great. I like that. I didn't ask you that, but that's fine. I'm not gonna fault you for it. What was the greatest gift you got on Christmas? As a youth, let's go younger if you can remember. I know I'm pushing you towards your old age to remember something, but is there one that sticks out that you're like, dude, this was the greatest thing ever?
The Intellivision.
There you go. Mine was the Atari. I'm glad we're both kind of on the same thing. Like when we got the Atari, that was fantastic. Hooked that shit up and spent days playing that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why the Intellivision sticks out because we also got the Atari. I mean, the Atari was for all of us. So, and
true, same here.
The only boy, it probably was more like it was for you, but the Atari was for all of us. But the Intellivision was mine. It was like one of the only things I got that year.
Oh, of course, nice.
It was expensive.
It was expensive. Yeah.
I basically was like, that's all I want, and I don't know why that. Remember, because it had the disc with the keypad.
Yep.
Right, and some of the games you would do, you'd actually put the overlay on the keypad, and like there was like this bomber game, and there was just the games. And for some reason, I felt like that was like the greatest thing. Like that controller to me was the greatest controller ever.
Yep.
And it was
ColecoVision as well. There was ColecoVision as well.
Yeah, with the big knob thing. But but doing the things and it was like, oh my god, this is so advanced. This is like, this is like incredible. But at the time, it was. They were trying to find their gimmick. But to me, the Intellivision was it for me. That was like, and still, I think my great. I don't think it was the best system I ever had, but I think it was the one that I like cherished the most. I would say.
Well, I would agree. I mean, as you can tell from my background, I love gaming. So for me, it was the Atari, and it was shared. To your point, it was a shared family thing, but Atari was still like the greatest gift you could get. It was fantastic.
So, remember when the 5200 came out? God, we got to do a video game. Yeah, I think.
So anyway, well, cool. Well, this has been. I'm glad we finished on that.
Yeah.
Our old stuff. Thanks again to everybody who listened for this week. We will probably be back next week. We'll see with the next episode. But
most likely, though.
Yeah, being that it's New Year's. But everybody have a great. Yeah, exactly. Everybody who listens, have a great, safe, and fun holidays this year. And again, if you're new to the show, like and subscribe so you can follow us along. And everybody have a great one.
Again, Merry Christmas to you. And I'll probably say it on your birthday anyway, but happy birthday.
Yeah, it's true. I guess I should be nice on video and say Merry Christmas, Len. More to your family, but to you as well.
Of course. Definitely more to your family.
All right.
I only mean it to your family, not to you.
Exactly. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining.